And good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, CJ and all the commissioners.
How are you, my sister?
I am fine, CJ.
Yes. Since you're the first candidate, let's just go slow with it. You are a holder of 3 degrees. You hold a B Prop degree, LLB, and Master of Laws degree. Am I right?
Yes, CJ.
Now, for your master's degree, did you do coursework plus a dissertation, a straight dissertation, or only coursework?
It was only coursework, CJ.
And what courses did you take?
I did advanced evidence, advanced criminal law, and constitutional interpretation, including the last course was insolvency and winding up of companies.
All right. Now, you were a magistrate from the 25th of September 91. At the time, did you fulfill some leadership or administrative responsibilities, or were you under a senior magistrate before you became a senior magistrate yourself?
When I started as a magistrate, I was under a senior magistrate.
And as a senior magistrate, were there leadership and managerial responsibilities on your shoulders?
Yes, CJ, if you can allow me in as far as that is concerned, because the leadership role I started when I was still a prosecutor.
Okay, tell us about it as briefly as you can. Tell us about your leadership responsibilities as a prosecutor.
It was overseeing other prosecutors, making decision dockets, and even allocating the cases to different prosecutors, including dealing with inquest and correspondence from the then, we now call it the DPP's office, but it was the AG's office in the old Buputatswanas.
All right.
Yes.
And as senior magistrate, how many magistrates did you have under you?
In Upington, as senior magistrate, I had 6. But I also was a sub-cluster head. I had 12 offices, magistrate offices under my supervision.
Is it correct to say in that capacity, you're not only lead magistrate, but there are other officials in the justice sector who look up to you as a leader?
Yes, I may say that because it was in the olden days when we were doing everything in the office. If it is a magistrate office, if you are a leader, you were responsible for all the administration of the office. It was the separation of powers was not yet approved. So you were responsible for the clerk of the court, the estate office, accounts office, budget of the office, everything in as far as the office is concerned.
Yes. And then you went to lecture at Justice College. Were there any leadership responsibilities there or not?
Yes. Firstly, I headed the criminal section. I had 5 magistrate or trainer magistrate under me at that particular time. And on an ad hoc basis, I also were appointed as head of the judicial training. When I say judicial training, I mean the judicial training at Justice College was comprised of the criminal section that I was heading. It was also comprised of the family law and then even the civil law. There was a senior magistrate, Shirul Lutz, who was heading the civil section, and there was another one who was heading the family section. So together with my section, all those magistrates and their heads were under me.
Yes. And as regional court magistrate, was it only the president who fulfilled the leadership role, or did you have any leadership role to play there?
I said, unfortunately, I did not sit for a long time as a regional magistrate. I think I sat for a month or two because at that particular time, it was at the time when the course that was developed by Minister Mabandla, the fast tracking of women to the bench was introduced. And fortunately, I applied and I became a candidate. So during that time, then we were called to participate in the program. I started participating in the program up until I was called to act. And fortunately, I acted up until I was appointed. So I didn't sit long as a regional magistrate.
Now, you have fulfilled several roles, several leadership roles in the South African chapter of the International Association of Women Judges. Am I right?
Yes, CJ.
You ended up being president of that organization.
Correct, CJ.
I understand there is some money, some fund that you people somehow acquired, kickstarted, I'm told by the Deputy Chief Justice donating some 20,000. Was it under your presidency or after?
It was during my presidency at a conference that we held in Limpopo, where the Deputy Chief Justice pledged 20,000 rand towards development. We identified a trust wherein we can use that trust as a vehicle for training, the training arm of the association.
Yes. And you've acted as judge president. You've acted as deputy judge president.
Correct, JP. Correct, CJ. Apologies, correct, CJ.
No, it is well. You used to address me as JP when you acted during my JP.
Yes.
How did your instinct as deputy judge president prepare you for the position you've applied for?
I got an opportunity, I can start with when I was at Mafikeng, to be able to test my leadership abilities in the sense that I was given a platform where I allocated cases to other judges. I also had an opportunity of dealing with case management. When I was in Mpumalanga, a division that runs its criminal role different from Mafikeng. In Mafikeng, for example, we never had what we call a roll call, where civil trials are usually called by a senior magistrate, as a senior judge. I had an opportunity to do that. My JP gave me that opportunity at the very early stage when I was there even before I started acting. And I also again did allocation of matters. I also got a platform of collaborating or engaging JP on a frequent basis when we were faced with, or when we were faced with challenges in the office. I also managed to interact with the personnel because CJ, the Mpumalanga office is a fairly new office. The support staff is fairly new. We also had introduced through JP the new practice directive, which are so comprehensive, which we needed a buy-in from our support staff. So together with JP, we managed to hold meetings, weekly meetings, so that we can orientate the support staff in as far as the practice directives are concerned, so that we make it a point that they understand it. And we also held workshops with the practitioners. It was on a Saturday where we also wanted a buy-in from them. So it equipped me.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. No, thank you very much. I take it that you are relaxed now and comfortable. I'm going to have other colleagues put questions to you. Colleagues, before I allow the JP and the Premier to put questions to the candidate, may I have your names, please?
Maya.
Through you, CJ.
Yambi. Makwanisha.
Saying
Pofu. CJ, I think the candidate wants to say something.
Yes, I'll afford you the opportunity once I have the list.
Thank you, CJ.
Okay. Lamola. Madonsela. Muimang.
After Commissioner Tsepe, I couldn't get who stands between her and Honorable Mwema.
Baba. Sorry.
Bono.
Wait a minute. Sorry, colleagues. I missed who comes after Honorable Mwema.
Bonod.
Cyril Baba.
You are there, Honorable Klaver.
Thank you so much, CJ.
Mlambo JP.
Thank you. JP Lahori, over to you, sir.
Thanks.
Oh, no, before. Judge Kgoele, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
I just wanted through you, CJ, to just get an opportunity to just update my questionnaire, because I filled it long time ago.
Yes, you can just share the additional information with us that
Yes.
you believe is absolutely necessary.
On page 6, in as far as list 16, paragraph 16.5, list of reserved judgments still outstanding. I don't have any
Okay.
at the moment, even in the Supreme Court of Appeal where I'm acting. My judgment
you.
was delivered on Monday in the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And then paragraph 17, which deals with partly heard matters. There were several of them at that particular time. They are all, not all finalized. I am only left with the one from Northwest, the Nukeri one, Temba, the Second Court S versus Johannes Nukeri. And the reasons are the following, CJ, if you may allow me.
Yes.
This is a very long matter, which has, the accused there is facing 42 counts, which amongst others, there are plus minus 19 counts of rape. The others are robbery and whatever. And it's about 136 witnesses. Now, the other thing that causes a challenge in that matter is that the accused at various points fired the legal representatives. Legal aid, we even tried Judicial, he even tried private counsel, he fired them. So unfortunately, I'm dealing with a case where the accused is undefended, despite my effort of trying to convince him to get a legal representative in view of the fact that the allegations and the charges are so serious. And in dealing with matters like that, it takes time because you have to explain all the rights fully to the accused. You have to also assist the accused there and there in cross-examination, putting his version across. And lastly, the evidence also consists of expect DNA evidence. So a chain of evidence in each and all the rape cases have to be led. So you can imagine how many witnesses are called in as far as the chain is concerned, in addition to the evidence of the victims or the other ordinary witness. So, but I'm still proceeding with it. I gave it 3 weeks, I think in June, June and July, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Judge. Honorable Judge President Lahori, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, CJ. Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, JP. Not sure whether I should call you Mukoni because you sometimes insist that we should call you Mukoni.
I insist that you should address me as Mukoni because every time when someone says that, I smile. Now, you have been acting in the SEA from the 1st of December to date, and you will still be acting until the end of October, according to the discussion which I had with the president. Is that correct?
Yes, I knew up until end of May, but you had already indicated to me that they requested that the acting stint should be extended.
But today, I want you to talk to us about transformation in relation to the Mpumalanga division. You are aware that the division establishment consists of 9 judges. And 4 of the 9 judges, including yourself, came to the division by way of transfer. And out of the 4, 3 are women, am I right?
Correct, JP?
And 2 male judges. In other words, the majority of the permanent judges are women as we speak.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you are aware of this, Judge Kgoele, since the start of the division, about 12 female candidates as opposed to about 9 male candidates were given the opportunity to act in the division. Are you aware of this?
I am aware of that.
And today, there are 9 candidates to be interviewed for the division. 5 of the 9 candidates are female, and 4 male candidates. Now, I want to tell you about my wish. And my wish is that this division should be the first division to have a female judge president and a female deputy judge president at the same time. You are aware that I'll be turning 67 in July this year. So time is no longer on my side. Now, here's the question. Would you make yourself available for that position when the opportunity arises?
Of the judge president?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, JP?
Can you say yes, Mukoni? That will make me happy.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. There are other commissioners here who call me Mukoni, so don't be ashamed to say
I
that.
thought maybe they all feel uncomfortable. I'll do that.
Now, you say you'll make yourself available.
Yes, Mukoni.
And that will be irrespective of whether or not you will be at the ACA. And if you will be at the ACA, you can ask Judge President Mulambo how he managed to do it. So he will give you a tip as to how to do it. So
I was going to say it won't be the first of its kind, because I know that JP Mulambo managed to do that.
okay. That is all. Thank you. CJ.
Thank you, JP. Honorable Premier.
No, thank you very much, CJ, for the opportunity. Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, Honorable Premier.
How are you?
I am fine.
Good to see you. Judge Kgoele, may I ask, do you have any outstanding complaints that you are aware of across the legal society? If so, what was the complaint all about? And in your view, do you think it holds? Does it have merits?
I'm not aware of any complaints, Premier.
Oh, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much, CJ.
Thank you, Premier. President Maya.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, President Maya.
How have you found your acting stint at the SCA so far, and what lessons do you think the experience will help you take back to the High Court?
Firstly, I was warmly received, despite the fact that you were not there, President Maya. I arrived at the time when DP Petso was the acting president, but I was warmly received. And I can basically say he went all out, despite the fact that at the beginning when I started, I was not at the office. He went all out to call me, to even give me advices. And whereas I am told that there is an induction committee, but because of the fact that we are in this era, COVID era, it could not function properly, but he inducted me so well. not only him, but I also got some advices from the acting deputy president, who is Judge Nafsa. But to cut the long story short, from many other senior colleagues. The experience, another experience is that the Supreme Court of Appeal is dealing with complex issues. So it's not, it is not, the issues that we grapple with are not easy. I have realized that sometimes even during deliberation, we often differ, but we are amenable to being persuaded. I have also experienced that there is a lot of work. Except the hearings, we normally get petitions every week. I am sitting with the petitions that I got, and I have learned that the practice is when you get a petition, you must drop everything because you must decide that petition within 24 hours. So there is a lot of work. And the experience again that I got was in terms of judgment writing. It's a bit different from what I used to, but I managed. As I indicated, I have already delivered one of my judgment, and the presider, President Maya, agreed with some other colleagues that it is a reportable judgment. So there's quite a lot of work, but I think it equipped me for the position that I'm applying. Firstly, it continuously honed my jurisprudence. Secondly, it will mean that I'll be able to now impart the knowledge that I received from the Supreme Court of Appeal to the colleagues back at Nelspruit, and I will be able to even advise acting judges, even including my judges who are my colleagues. I think it gives me a better edge.
You have represented women in the judiciary here at home, in the continent, and across the world, and your CV understates your role. In addition to leading the Women Judges Association in South Africa as its president for 4 years, you were also president of the Africa region of the International Association of Women Judges during that period. In addition thereto, you also sit, and your CV does not mention this, you also sit in the Women Judges Association's trust alongside Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, and I'll ask you in a bit to tell you just briefly what that trust seeks to achieve for women in the professions and in the judiciary. And you are also a member of the Women Judges Association's Advisory Council. Now, can you just tell us very briefly first what these organizations collectively seek to do for women? Because this body, this commission, you know, throughout its existence, has always tried to find means of attracting women, more women, you know, deepening the pool as the jargon goes, so that there are more women to bring into the judiciary and, you know, support them when they're in the judiciary. So how do these organizations I've just mentioned now help to achieve that? And also, what role, especially the educational bit, does the SAC IWJ Trust, which is of which you're a member, do?
I will start with the association itself. The main aim is to empower women. And when I'm saying women, I'm not only referring to women in the legal fraternity or in the judiciary. I mean women even at large. The association has many programs to achieve that, to be able to achieve that. One of the programs that I can boast about is the mentoring program, where we also mentor students in various universities. I think in almost all the universities in South Africa. Some of the programs can include like the family dialogue, where we partner with the gender directorate previously, including the office of the Minister of Women and Children previously, where we have family dialogues, where we invite various stakeholders in the legal fraternity, where we addressed women in the community about their rights, about the laws. We come mainly in as far as the laws are concerned, customary law, marriages, all of that. For example, we had one in Limpopo previously. We have various programs where in our provinces participate in. We have a wellness program. There's a lot. I don't want to take much of the time explaining that, but we are trying to empower women at large, because we want to achieve the sustainable development goals of advancing women in all spheres. I think we all know that transformation I will specifically now confine myself in the judiciary. In the judiciary, it's lagging behind. So in a way, we also empower our judicial officers. I'm deliberately using the word judicial officers because I refer to judges and magistrates, especially women, so that they can be able to fill the posts that are being advertised, both in the magistracy and both in the high courts. We do that because we have mentoring programs relating to that. We have we normally, like in appointments in the judiciary, we write motivations or recommendations for them. On that note, I should also include that we not only even write recommendation for women who are our own members. If we see on the shortlisted candidates that there are women, we also recommend that, and there are a lot of women who were appointed because of some of our recommendations. Maybe I should go to the trust. As the CJ had indicated, DCJ gave us 20,000 rand, pledged it because we have not yet received it, and then we formed a trust. The trust mainly, we formed it because as judicial officers, we are not able to source funding easily because of the judicial independence. So we then thought that we will be able to use it as a vehicle wherein we can be able to source funds without compromising our judicial independence. And the funds will mainly be used for training initiatives. Training, again, not only members of the judiciary or members of the association, SEC IAWJ association, but we are looking at the broader legal fraternity. So we had formed a trust. We are busy, we had formed a curriculum development committee. I am a member there, and we are busy making policy document in as far as the curriculum is concerned, what it should entail. What we envisage is dealing with training that will mainly empower women so that we can fight this elephant in the room, that is gender parity and transformation of the judiciary. Justice
Thank you,
Maya,
CJ.
I can say in my CV, I think I had mentioned, let me just check before, yes. I had mentioned the fact that I'm a trustee of SEC IAWJ Trust. I said I'm the deputy chairperson of the Curriculum and Development Committee thereof. I also mentioned the one that you mentioned, member of the Presidential Advisory Council. I also mentioned that I'm a member of the Editorial Advisory Board of SEC IAWJ. I just wanted to add that.
Sorry about
Not
that. Your
sure
CV
whether
is too long. I missed
I've
it.
answered your question sufficiently,
No.
President.
That's sufficient for present purposes, Judge Kgoele. You don't have much time. Thank you very much.
Judge Kgoele, I'm going to be calling other commissioners where possible. Just be brief, and when details are required, it will be for the commissioner to require more detail. I have 12 more questions, colleagues, to put questions to you. So far as possible, please try to be as brief as you can.
Thank you.
Honorable Nyambi,
CJ.
thank you, my sister.
Thank you,
Honorable
CJ.
Nyambi.
Thank you, CJ. Morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Prof, your mic. From your response, if you have touched the issue of the independence of the judiciary when responding to President Maya. So if you can share with us your understanding of judicial independence.
My understanding of judicial independence is that judges must act without fear, must be impartial, must not be influenced by any other sources from outside, be other executive branches or any other thing that may influence them. The second part of judicial independence that I can mention is that the judges, for them to be fully judicial independent, they must have security of tenure.
We have been in Mpumalanga for some time, and we are aware that it's a rural province. Given that challenge, and you have applied for this leadership position, what will be your immediate issues that must be tackled as challenges facing the division of the Mpumalanga High Court?
The immediate challenges that I have discovered, as far as I'll start with the High Court, it's personnel, shortage of personnel. As a newly established office, there are other posts that have not been filled. For example, we only have one chief register who is manning two offices. That is the main office and the Middleback office. I'm just giving you an example. The court manager also. She does that, manning both offices. Now, I can mention even a researcher in Middleburg, Miss Abigail Malambe. She is a researcher, appointed as a researcher, but she acts as a court manager in the absence of the court manager. She also acts as a registrar because there's no register, there is not yet appointed. So shortly, because they said I should try to be short, lack of personnel hampers us. But let me assure you, with the little amount of personnel that we had, JP can bear me out, they are doing their best. You'll never have those kind of personnel where even though he knows that she or knows that she's a researcher, when you is allocated another job description, she is willing to do that in our era. Now, the other one, I won't talk much about it, but the infrastructure, the building also, although fairly new, but we are experiencing problems. I was told when I asked about the structural defects, I haven't seen them, but the director reported about that. We also have intermittent, what is it, network. When I asked, I was told that the brand width there, it's not sufficient for the whole office. We are having a challenge at the moment. I am not sure, but when I phoned to update myself of security, in the sense that when I left, before I started acting, the biometrics was not working. I'm told that it's still the case. It poses security challenges in as far as us judges and the personnel are concerned, because they had bypassed it. If I can give you an example, one of the good in 1 week, I was sort of locked out because of the biometrics. I couldn't get my books from court, just as an example. And I'm also told that there is an issue of stakeholders not assisting each other in as far as the building or the maintenance of the buildings it's concerned. It appears that it has not yet, the handing over has not yet been finalized because of let me leave the court. But I know about an immediate challenge that has occurred of the periodical court, the circuit court, we call them circuit court, the circuit court having collapsed. It's going to add on the backlogs that we are having. It needs to be, addressed as soon as it can, because we already have a backlog in as far as criminal cases are concerned. So you can imagine if the periodical court had collapsed, I mean, the second court had collapsed. And coming a little bit towards what you asked me about being a rural area. It's indeed a rural area. And I think we need to bring access to justice to the people. We need to create, if possible, but subject to the budget, because I think the budget is also one of the problems that collapsed the circuit court. Create additional circuit court. I am aware that there is one that is in the process of being created, the Mpumalanga one. When I inquired, I was told that the building has been secured and it's only the furniture is there, it's only that it needs to be finalized. In as far as, I think even in as far as the lower courts are concerned, they are having several district magistrates. They are also having what they call periodical courts, but I can talk about the fact that the regional court president, when I engaged him previously, he indicated that there's a need to increase them so that we can give access to justice, and especially in as far as sexual offenses are concerned. Apparently there is only one. And even in as far as, the district courts are concerned, they need that as well. Another challenge that I heard about, which apparently hampers service delivery in as far as the judiciary is concerned, is that they told me that there's continuously lack of water in the magistrate court. Yes, so I'm trying to limit. I have a lot that I can say about here, but
Thank you.
I think, let me just add even the system where the district courts remand cases through video. I'm told that there's one in around Witbank, Middleburg, and one in Nelspruit. They say there's a need to increase that so that we can have access to justice, because of the area, it's too rural and vastly populated.
Thank you, Judge Kgoele. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Nyambi. Honorable Magwanisha.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Yes, in the interest of time, I will only ask you one question. Can you indicate two incidences where there was resistance to your leadership style or your leadership, and how did you deal with those issues?
I'm trying to think back. I have no incident where my leadership style was resisted. If I can take you back, if you can look at my track record, when I was requested to head the office, for your information, Commissioner, in Taung, I headed that office, and I even headed senior magistrate. Not sure whether CJ will remember, Mr. Rampe was one of my senior magistrate. Mr. Mkhotla was one of my senior magistrate. The late Tlaba was one of my senior magistrate, but I managed and I never had any problems. Even in Appington, one of the magistrate, if
I think it's fine.
Okay, sorry.
So you have never been in a situation where you have to solve a leadership challenge.
Not in as far as my leadership style, but because as I've already indicated, I was doing the whole administrative office. I used to solve conflicts from staff members or colleagues. I faced with those kind of situations and I managed. And even when those conflicts were in between my senior and maybe the other colleague, I managed well.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Magwanisha. Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. Good morning to you, to the commissioners, the Premier, JP, and Judge Kgoele. Firstly, I may consider this a follow-up or even as a question. CJ, will be left to you. In response to Judge Kgoele, when the Premier asked if you are aware of any complaints, your answer was no. Also, in response to Commissioner Magwanisha, you said that you are not aware of anything, any complaints against you. Now, I don't know if you had the opportunity to go through the letters that have been sent to the Judicial Services Commission, in particular one written by attorneys Zahir Omar on behalf of his clients Vuganini Taxi Association. I'll just first wait for you to say yes or no, Judge Kgoele, if you have seen that.
I'm aware about it, but I
Okay,
classified
you are.
it as an objection, not as a complaint.
All right. Yeah, whether we call it an objection or a complaint or whatever, but it is under the section objection in our packs.
Yes.
But there are words used by the attorney on behalf of his client, which would relate to temperament. And I want to quote, arrogant disregard. Another quote from that letter is lack of composure and understanding of the law. Another quote from that letter of complaint or objection, lacks requisite competence, experience, and composure necessary for the position of and should not be appointed as DJP. Now, we may call it a complaint, we may call it objection, but I think it's something serious. We have to take serious note of this letter and its contents. And would you care to respond to what's written in this letter on behalf of Vuganini Taxi Association and particular references to your personality and person? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. In as far as temperament is concerned, I have excellent temperament. Excellent, I've got no doubt. In as far as interpersonal skill, I've got excellent interpersonal skills. As far as composure, even in court, excellent skill in as far as composure is concerned. The other leg, if I remember well from what you said, it's also not a jurist. My judgment can bear me out. When I looked at Safely, I have got about 298, I think, judgments. If you can look at my questionnaire, there are a few that went to appealed against and that were successfully appealed against. And I may just say, it is that one complaint about from this one firm. I think I have got other good remarks or recommendation from the other association, including the bar, who on a daily basis appears before me, and they know how I am. And if you can look at my track record, in as far as the issue of temperament, not being a jurist, this is the first kind, because even in Mafikeng, when I was working in Mafikeng, I never had that kind of a complaint. I might just add a little bit, it's because of that, probably the very matter that I dealt with where the taxi association was concerned. To be honest, I'm firm, but very approachable. But I'm firm, and I'm very firm in as far as also the implementation of the practice directives, especially there in Mpumalanga, because they are so simple that each and everyone, including practitioners, will be able to understand them. So they must be adhered to. And remember, we are a new division. If we are not firm on the practice directives, then we will have problems. But I don't want to dwell much on the issue of the case, because they applied for a leave to appeal, which I refused. They indicated that they will petition the Supreme Court of Appeal. So I'm not sure how far it is. So I don't want to dwell much in as far as that is concerned.
Thank you very much.
Maybe it's because they were not satisfied. And if I may add, when I was listening, when I was hearing the leave to appeal, that was an interdict. I granted an interdict because I could see that the injury that was apprehensible there was imminent. And during after I granted the interdict, it appears they appeared before my sister Mphatlele for leave to appeal, not leave to appeal. Yeah, they filed a leave to appeal, and then the other party appeared before Mphatlele so that they applied for the order to be implemented. My sister granted that. And when I was hearing the leave to appeal, I hear that indeed what I feared, what I was trying to stop occurred. There were people that were killed during that time.
Thank you, Judge Kgoele. Yes, just for your information, you might not have seen it. They have also written a letter in respect of Judge Mphatlele, which we will deal with later on, but it refers to the same matter that you are talking about. And just to also yes, no, just to make you aware. And just to also confirm that, yes, indeed, the BLA, the South African Women Lawyers Association, the Law Society, Society of Law Teachers, and Mpumalanga Society of Advocates have sent in letters of support. But I'll leave this issue, perhaps other commissioners may want to follow up. My second question, Judge Kgoele, relates to temperament. I think you will be aware, the Chief Justice, and I am aware because I was on the commission at that time, and probably Commissioner Nyambi and some others, of a very acrimonious, what I would describe as an acrimonious interview in 2017 when you applied for the position of acting DJP. I think it was in the northwest.
Northwest, yes.
Yes, in the northwest. So much so that the CJ had to intervene at some stage. And if I can quote the Chief Justice from what he said verbatim, he says, ugly public underway in JSC. Chief Justice McQueen said as follows, can I interrupt you people? Let me tell you the public perception out there that a colleague has just brought to my attention. Ugly public, that was inaudible, underway in JSC with JP Monica Liu castigating her junior for failure to respond to various issues. That's why I tried to intervene earlier. Just be aware of that. The public perception out there about the manner in which you people are proceeding. Now, I think you will recall that interview, Honorable Judge, at that time. I'd just like to know that looking back on that interview and looking for what you applied now, has your personal relationships improved with your colleagues that you work with at different levels at the SCA? I know you spoke about the SCA, but generally, if you are appointed in this position as DJP, what could we expect? What could we expect of you? Because one of the things you also said in the interview was, well, what we heard from Judge Liu at that time was your reluctance to get involved in case flow management, in the leadership of case flow management. Now, being DJP will require you to be in charge of case flow management, and you referred to that earlier. So I just want to be satisfied that what happened in 2017 will not be repeated now, and what can you give in as ameliorating facts to assure us that it would not happen, that type of acrimonious kind of debate and interaction with the then JP. Thank you.
Maybe I should say that it was unfortunate, and that the interview proceeded in that manner. But if you are aware, Commissioner, during the interview, my temperament also spoke for myself. I was very cool. I managed to answer the question. In my view, with respect also, I did not belittle my JP then. Even the media also described me as cool, collected Kgoele, was answering the question. So my temperament even then spoke for myself. In as far as the relationship is concerned, I have moved to a new division. There are no concerns at the present moment. Probably my JP, current JP, will have raised them. I have good interpersonal relationship with my colleagues as I speak. As far as case flow management is concerned, even at that particular time during the previous interview, I demonstrated that I know what case flow management is and how to deal with it. If you can remember well, Commissioner Singh, JP even had to say to me I should explain step by step as to what I do in what I'm supposed to do in as far as case flow management is concerned. And I did that. But to allay your fears, when I was acting also in Mafikeng, I did it on a daily basis. For your information, in Mafikeng, we do it from 8 o'clock to 8:30, and I managed. I did it even, had to even go to court on top of that. Now in Mpumalanga and what is it, in Mpumalanga and Middleburg, we do it. We have first stage of case management. We have second stage of case management. We do it, I do it excellently. As I told you, JP even, before I even acted, had to even request me that I should do the roll call that I never did even in Mafike, to allay your fears that I can do anything. Case flow management is even one, but a aspect of it, but I'm excellent in doing that. Even in criminal matters.
I'll leave it at that, Judge Kgoele. Thank you for now, and thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Advocate Mpofu SC.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Advocate Mpofu.
Yes, thank you. Mine is a very, I'll also ask you one question in the interest of time. we are in a fortunate position of having two African female candidates. And I think we should also pay homage to the JP for his dream of having a JP and a DJP who are women. And by the way, JP, you can even aspire to have the whole division with women.
Yes, I agree, Advocate.
Thank you, because there's been a misinterpretation of another JP hurtfully thought that one of the ways to do transformation is to aspire to bring white candidates. But I say a transformed division will be the one that will have full female candidates. But the question I wanted to ask you is, given that we are in that fortunate position of having an African female for both, in respect of both candidates, what attributes, without having to castigate the other candidate, because that would not be collegial, but what attributes stand out in your own experience and CV and pedigree that would set you apart as somebody who should be placed with the responsibility of assisting the JP and even aspiring to the top post in what we regard as one of the young babies of divisions, with particular regard to that fact that it's not just a normal division, it's one that is still being built.
Thank you. 30 years judicial career that I have. If you can look at my leadership, the leadership role, I, as indicated, was a leader in prosecution, was a leader as a magistrate. I was a leader as a trainer. We need that in this post. I was a leader in the transformation. I was a leader in IAWJ, for example, and now in the High Court. Maybe I should highlight the following in as far as the leadership that I held. Advocate Mpofu, if you allow me.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can look at my CV, I was appointed a control prosecutor 1 year after I was appointed as a prosecutor. Within 2 years after that, I was appointed a magistrate in 2 years' time. If you look at my CV again, you'll realize that then I was requested to head the office. And I have already indicated I was even heading senior magistrate in that office. Now, there was an additional office that was built to the Tau magistrate office that I was heading at that particular time. It was an additional office to the magistrate office Tau, a newly established office. I was requested to go and head that office, start that office from the beginning, and I acquitted myself so well, Mr. Advocate Mpofu, to such an extent that at that particular time, if you can look at my CV again, it says at that particular time when I was heading the Pampierstad magistrate office, I was requested to go and not even head as such, because there was a problem in Khanyisa magistrate office. Khanyisa from Pampierstad, it's 170 kilometers. There was a problem, that office was in a very dire situation, to such an extent that the magistrate that was heading that office was demoted. Serious financial issues there, staff problems, the morale of staff, it was in disarray. For example, I can quote an example, the interpreter will come at work at 1 o'clock. I was requested to go and fix that office, and I did. And at the same time, I was I was not relinquished from heading Magistrate Pampirstan. So I was heading 2 offices at the same time. Now, when I went to Appington, I did not apply to go to Appington, Advocate Mpofu. I applied to go to Rustenburg. But during the interview, I think, I'm not sure, but I can just suspect that seeing my capabilities, then they requested me to go and work, whether I can be prepared to go and work in Appington, a white Afrikaner dominated office at that particular time. And I was still very young, and I agreed. And it's solely because to transform that office. I'm not sure whether you were here during previous interviews, you know how I transformed that office. Lastly, in as far as, I'm trying to summarize, in as far as the SEC IAWJ is concerned, I never dreamt of becoming the president. I was just pushed into that position, but I acquitted myself so well. So you can see that I am a self-driven person, and I can assure you I have all the qualities, temperament that you talked about.
Thank you. I'm
I can
satisfied.
add,
No.
I'm a sexually, socially contextualized judge. I'm one of the magistrates that attended the social context training when it started long time ago.
I'm satisfied.
I can tell you, I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Judge Kgoele. No, I'm good.
Honorable Minister, as I said, Judge Kgoele, if colleagues indicate that they are happy, please, in the interest of time, go along with them. Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, CJ, and good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, Honorable Minister.
Morning, thank you. My question relates to the fact that you are now in a new division, as you have said, and this presents an opportunity for you and the division to start a division with a new digitized kind of a platform. What is your role in the digitization in this division? Because I see you have been acting from time to time, interchangeable, I think, with the Judge Mphahlele.
I didn't hear, are you saying what is my role?
Yes, your role in digitizing the division in terms of the documents or modernization and so forth.
Unfortunately, up to now, we hadn't done much because our office is not one of the, what is it? What do you call it?
The size for pilot project?
Yes, thank you, CJ, a pilot project. But continuously, I've been asking how far the infrastructure is, because I remember at a particular time when we were having training in, I think it was Bilabela, JP Mlambo gave us an update in as far as this issue of case line and infrastructure is concerned. We were told that our office was supposed to be equipped with the infrastructure related to that in 2021. So I continuously asked, but I am told that they had started putting the infrastructure, and we managed to, during the COVID era, work virtually. I worked virtually from my place since the COVID era started. So basically we managed to do motion court, We managed to do appeals through virtual hearings. And when I say motion court, I mean both opposed and unopposed. I even did one civil trial, which was not so complicated with a virtual hearing. And we have also attended a case line already, because in preparing ourselves for that, for the case lines that is envisaged. So, thank you.
Yeah, my other question relates to your role that I see you played a very prominent role in the judicial, in the Justice College, the then Justice College.
Yes.
And you are aware that now it has been almost, the current Justice College has been stripped of that prestige, and we're trying to reposition it again to play its role, particularly for the Master's Office, the State Attorney, and other service points that we are providing. And I'm aware that in the Mpumalanga High Court, you have almost all this under one roof.
Yes.
What do you think could be the role of the Justice College to enhance service delivery and also the training of our employees, in case for the matters that will end up coming before you, because you receive lots of matters from the Master's Office and from the State Attorney? What do you think will be the role of the Justice College?
I still think Justice College will still play a big role, because they are clerks, they are interpreters also, that needs to be, trained, and they are still responsible for that. As we indicated, Minister, even the masters, they are, I'm not sure, but I think I hear that the masters division is no longer at Justice College. Yes. Since we left, and the prosecution is still there. I think it can play a very big role. Remember, when we were at Justice College, we were even able to, if you can even see on my CV, produced a lot of training material, manuals. So they can do that, and it can enhance training of the personnel to a greater level, Minister.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Judge Kgoele.
Thank you, Minister. Advocate Madonsela C.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Justice Kgoele.
Good morning, Advocate Madonsela.
The question I wish to ask is premised on your answer that you gave to the Judge President, that in the fullness of time, you would like to be the JP of the division you are applying for now. Now, but currently you are acting as a judge in the SCA.
Correct, Commissioner.
Exactly where do you see yourself ultimately? And I heard you saying that you would also emulate what Justice J.P. Mlambo did, going to the SCA and then coming back to the SCA. Exactly where do you want to go? Why should we condone this movement up and down the SCA and back to the division? Where exactly do you find yourself? Do you see yourself in the future as an appellate judge or as a JP?
Unfortunately, it's too early to tell. I've just started in the Supreme Court of Appeal. I've just started very freshly. I think I've got 2 or 3 months. But I see myself being a judge president in the future. But remember, Advocate Madonsela, as women, we are faced with the following: transformation of the judiciary. and it faces us in all angles. We are still far from reaching that in the Supreme Court of Appeal. We are still far from reaching that in the Concord. We are still far from reaching that in the very same leadership position that I'm envying for right now. Now, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to find, I didn't want us to spend a lot of time on this.
Okay.
I wanted to find out what has that got to do with the question I asked. Why do you want to move up and down?
I don't necessarily want to move up and down, but I'm saying in the event that probably depending on the circumstances that may happen in future, we don't know what will happen in future. Depending on the circumstances, if for example, I happen to be appointed there before before the post of the JP it's advertised, and at that particular time again there are no suitable candidates or maybe women that we can field, which I doubt because they are now coming, but I'm just giving you an example. If there is a need, I can come back. Not necessarily I want to go up and down, no. And that is why I'm bringing the issue of the fact that we are faced with a lack of transformation from all angles,
So you would avail yourself on both if the opportunity comes?
If there are no women that we can field.
Yes, okay, that's the premise. Okay. Now, in your understanding, now that you have had a taste of an appellate judicial experience, as well as a taste of judicial leadership as an acting DJP, you are well placed to tell us in which environment do you find yourself more comfortable? And I just want to find out what are the attributes of that position that you are comfortable in, you think will best suit your appointment in.
I'm going to repeat. It's too early. I cannot even say I've tasted SCA. It's too early for me to say that. But currently I possess all the qualities that is needed for the DJP.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you very much. I see Commissioner Tsepe.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner.
I just wanted to talk about the administration of the division, saying that this is a leadership a role in the division. And I have just two questions for you. The one relates to allocation of work for judges in the division. Do you as a division have a system of allocation of work to ensure that all judges are adequately exposed to all areas? If not, what system would you intend to introduce were you to be appointed? That's my first question.
We do. The allocation of work to judges is done by a senior judge. Mostly JP, but in most of the time, because he's so busy, he gives me, whether I'm acting or not. If I'm in Bombela, we do that. And if I'm in Middleburg, I do that. If my sister Mpatlele in Middleburg, she does that, she allocates. And in allocation of work, you don't just count the number of judges and say there are 6 and 6 files, one day. There's a lot that goes in there. You must read the file. You must know what is in the file. And then so that you can know the issues there. At the same time, as you said, you will be knowing the strength of your judges also. So you will be able to allocate the matters in that fashion. And knowing the strength, I'm not necessarily saying you must always allocate serious matters to senior judges of a particular matter to maybe that deals with competition law to a particular judge. Yes, you can do that. But remember, as a senior, you need to empower the others. So at some stage, you will have to even go and allocating that very complex matter to another one. It's a form of training, empowerment as we go on. Yes. So we do have system in place.
Thank you, Judge. My second question relates to also a system, whether you have a system in place or what would you propose as a system in place for acting judges in your division to equip them in the running of the courts and in judgment writing and timeous delivery of judgments?
We do have a system, an informal one, of course, if I may say so. We guide them, sometimes on a person-to-person basis. Sometimes we normally do it in the tea rooms if we are under normal circumstances. Nowadays, we do it on a Friday. My sister Mpatlele came up with a suggestion that we all embraced, that we do it on Fridays between 9 and 10, where we engage, where we make them feel to come up with problems that they are having, and we advise and we discuss it. We also have a system that they are free to send their judgments to us, to look at them. Advocate Sigogo can bear me on Mr. Sigogo can testify about that. He usually sends his judgments to me. And again, even when you are sitting in appeals, remember a senior judge sits in appeals. So we have a system, you cannot allocate an appeal to, if it is a two judges appeal to two acting judges, there should be a senior there. So when dealing with, when you had allocated a judgment to him or her, you oversee that judgment, correct there and there. As in fact, not just like spoon feeding, but you give guidance as to how a judgment should be written. And what I wanted to add is, I have seen in the Supreme Court of Appeal, they have a style guide judgment which assists us when we arrive here as to how their judgments are supposed to look like, or how they are supposed to be done. I think that's one thing that I can take from the Supreme Court to there. I'm going to introduce that, but subject to JP, because remember, if I'm a DJP, I cannot just introduce things without agreeing with JP. I have to agree with JP first.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Tsepe. Honorable Klaba.
Thanks, CJ. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Honorable Klaba.
Thank you. Am I correct to say that the longest time it took you to deliver a judgment is 16 months?
16 months?
Yes. You reserved the judgment on the 5th of December, 2019. And that's the judgment that was on reserve at the time of writing your papers, these papers.
The questionnaire.
Yes, yes. I think it's on page 6 of your document. And to update the information, you said this judgment was delivered on Monday. You may have been referring to another judgment.
Yes, maybe you
Can
did
we
not.
check? Can we check
Maybe I did not express myself well. I said I'm updating all the judgments were delivered in the questionnaire.
Maybe let me say the
And
one.
then the other judgment that I talked about was in the Supreme Court of Appeal, but I was trying to emphasize in the High Court and in the Supreme Court of Appeal, where I've just started. I don't have a reserved judgment.
The one that was
Delivered on Monday is the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Supreme Court. Okay, no, fine. Thank you so much. Thanks, CJ. Thanks, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Muiman.
Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, Honorable Mima.
On your questionnaire, there's a paragraph 16.1, which is on page 12. 16.1. It is under paragraph 5, Century Loop Right Trade and Northwest Gambling Board. Does the matter ring bell to you? Do you?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Apologies.
I'm saying that, do you remember the matter that we dealt with that involves Century Loop Right Trade and Northwest Gambling Board?
It's some time back, but I think it might relate to
yes,
the issue about the gambling board. I can't remember the facts now.
Yes, I'm more interested in what guided you to make a distinction between when to bypass PAJA and rely directly on the principle of legality, where there is an internal remedies provided in the Gambling Act. I think if you can just go through that paragraph 5 on page 12, it will remind you of the thrust. I'm more interested in terms of what guided you to say that because on page 176 on your judgment, the last paragraph, you says that I therefore come to the conclusion that the internal remedy that has been provided for by the Act should be complied with first in terms of section 7.2 of PAJA before the main application can be proceeded with. This court cannot even begin to entertain the grounds of main application based on the principles of legality without the applicant showing why the provisions of PAJA cannot apply to the circumstance of this matter. Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Judge Kgoele.
Unfortunately, I don't have them here. The judgment itself, I did not make myself a copy. But if I remember a little bit, there's I think a Concord or a Concord matter that I relied on there. I can't remember where.
It was the Gijima matter.
Yes, if you can give me the judgment, I can quickly look at what assisted me there. But I think I relied on that.
Yeah, I think the question is, when do you apply PAJA or when do you apply the principles of legality?
When you apply the principles of PAJA when the basis for the ground of review relates to administrative issues. And the principle of legality is strictly in terms of what is it? Especially when any grounds relied upon in the from the Constitution, or that is section 175, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
The other question is, do you think there is cause for concern for us as members of public to hold breath as we await the Concord a judgment on the matter between the Zondo Commission and former President Jacob Zuma?
If you can expand, I don't understand your question, Commissioner.
I think the point that I'm raising, that there's been a lot of restlessness or concerns. To what extent can the court go in terms of either setting aside an executive decision or setting aside a decision of the legislature, because other things that sometimes the court go beyond what we accept as permissible in terms of the law.
You tried, but I still can't get you. I'm so sorry.
What is your view on judicial activism?
Judicial what?
Activism.
Judicial activism. Oh. Yes, there is judicial activism, but there is a balancing act. When you do your judicial activism, you must be very careful. There's a thin line there. You must be very careful to such an extent that you should not be seen to be either descending into the arena, or if I may say that you should not be seen to be, there's a term that we use, moving overboard. That's not the exactly correct term that I was looking about, but yes, there's a thin line.
Overreach,
Overreach,
Judge Kgoele.
yes,
Thank you, Judge Kgoele. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Honorable Moiman. Commissioner Barnard.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner.
I wonder if you can assist us, how accessible is the Mpumalanga Division of the High Court to persons with disabilities? And to the extent that there are any shortcomings, what can best be done in this regard to address them?
I want to be honest, I have never exactly checked that. That building is so big, but I think because it's the state of the art building, I suspect they are accessible. It's a fairly new office. I don't think they will have missed it.
That's just that we were faced earlier in the week with some, or yesterday with some comments regarding accessibility problems. You haven't come across anything like that, members of the public or lawyers?
In as far as disabled people are concerned?
Yes, correct.
No. Personally, I'm not.
Thank you. Last question, very briefly. You come across very competent and very in control of things. So my question is there any weakness that you could work on to improve your skills as a leader of that court?
Yeah, maybe sometimes I tend to become too soft.
CJ, I'm sorry, I don't think Judge Kgoele's mic is on.
Okay.
I can't hear her.
It is on, it's just that she was a bit far from it. Please bring it closer, Judge Kgoele.
Okay. I think sometimes I try to be accommodative, or if I can say soft, in the sense that, like when when a person has done something wrong, I try to give him or her a second chance and try to speak with him maybe softly without being firm. As I said, I'm firm. And sometimes people take advantage of that and they repeat it. And I'm always laughing. People sometimes, when you laugh and you seem to be easily approachable, they take advantage of that. That can be a weakness on my part.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Matolo-Dlepu.
Thank you, CJ, and good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner.
You indicated earlier that you are very involved with women empowerment in Mpumalanga, but and around the judicial officers and magistrates and acting judges. What I wanted to know, you do appreciate that your feeder area is actually the legal profession, the side bar and the bar. Do you have any programs that you are involved in trying to, because that's where we recruit most of the judges from? Do you have any training programs or mentoring or,
You mean specifically in Mpumalanga,
Yeah.
or generally?
I'm saying Mpumalanga because
Okay.
it's here.
What we had was a trial advocacy training, but not necessarily for women, but I know we held one through JP in Middleburg. And I know women from the legal fraternity had approached me that one of the good days, train them just to, they say they see that I'm confident, just to give them confidence skills, advise them. The attorneys also approached me to say that even in as far as the control of proceedings is concerned, so that they can be empowered. Unfortunately, because of time, I had not given them, a date, because remember I started in Mpumalanga in August 2019. And then I stayed there up until October, because November and December I was in a circuit court in Brighton. So I couldn't give them a perfect date. And then from there, JP appointed me to go and act, and I was based in Middleburg. After that, we were immediately that when the acting stint ended, we were hit by COVID. It hampered us. Unfortunately, whilst we were still on COVID, the Supreme Court of Appeal called me. So I'm still cherishing that I will do that. But I'm engaged with the Saola in the province. I normally assist them in their programs. The chairperson of Saola, I'm taking her by my hand in as far as he's leading the Saola Association is concerned. So I'm very involved in Saola also as a sister body.
Do we have many female practitioners appearing before you?
Yes.
And if so, how do they fare?
There are some that are good, but some need a lot of training.
Thank you. Thank you, CJ, and thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Honorable JP Mlambo.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge Kgoele.
Good morning, JP.
Thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me to one of your conferences where I was able to identify people who are now judges in the division.
You still owe me a registration form, but I think Justice Meyer said you joined the association.
This is not time to hang dirty linen, you know. I'm joking. In the interest of time, you didn't mention the issue of reserve judgments as a challenge in Mpumalanga. Am I correct to understand that that is not a problem as we speak?
No, that is not a problem. I checked that. That is not a problem. Middleburg, it's excellent. Mbombela, it's excellent. I only picked up one or two that, but not more than 6 months, but more than 3 months, but it's not a challenge.
Well, I hope you keep it that way.
Thank you.
Going forward. But this, in your update about the Maseko non-Nhlanhla judgment, in your update, are you able to tell us when you handed it down?
It was less than 3 months. Let me check if I make a note. I'm not.
No, if you say it was less than 3 months, it's
No,
fine.
it was less.
I'll take that, yeah.
They are all in less than 3 months.
Thank you very much
My
for that.
judgment.
I need to raise the Nukeri matter.
Yes.
As a head of court, it's of concern to me.
Yes.
And it should be of concern to you
And
as
me
well.
too, yes.
Yeah. You are acting in the SCA.
Mm.
This is a matter from Northwest.
Mm.
You are in Mpumalanga.
Mm.
If we talk honestly, shouldn't this matter have been finalized?
Pardon?
Should it not have been finalized by now?
No, not at all. Even if that be the case, as I indicated, that case started very late after those attempts that I told you. In fact, in Northwest, I think it's the only JP that didn't deal with that matter because of the accused having all sorts of what is it? Issues. All the judges went there, and I was the one that had to put my foot down so that the matter should start.
So
and at some point, even after I had warned him and indicated to him that next time I proceed, we proceeded, and then at some stage, because I continuously encouraged him to have a legal representative. He did have a legal representative, but he fired him again. So, to be honest, it's a long matter.
How long?
And I think maybe I didn't mention the fact that the unfortunate part again was because I was transferred to Mpumalanga. It also affects it because the state advocate also, who is dealing with that matter, was also transferred. He is in Limpopo. So sometimes we even struggle to get appropriate dates for ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's a long matter, JP, very long matter.
Well, I think that's what I want to check. It's a part head matter.
Yes.
How long is it part head under your belt?
I think it's a year.
It's a year.
Mm.
Because in your questionnaire, which you signed in January 2020, we are sitting in 2021, but it comes from Northwest.
Yes.
Now, clearly it must have started before August 2019, because you say you started in Mpumalanga in 2019.
Yes.
So it's more than a year.
Or more than a year, yes.
I see.
Mm.
Just one last question, follow up, CJ. But as heads of court, and you're aspiring to be a head of court, don't you reach a point in a matter where you say the litigants are going to dance to my tune as head of court or as judge in controlling and making sure that this matter is finalized?
Yes, you do.
You haven't reached that point.
You specifically refer to Nukeri?
Yes.
No, I think they do. I inform them about the dates, but the challenge is, remember now, if I'm in Mpumalanga, there is a role that I'm doing, JP.
Yes.
And the prosecutor has his own role again there. You see? So even if you, like now, I've indicated to the state prosecutor, I've given 3 weeks, although they are not in succession, in order to facilitate the fast tracking of, the finalization of the matter.
Yes.
Initially, like when we started in Mafikeng, the problem was the matter as big as it is, JP, was given only a week. It was not like a continuous matter where you can deal with the matter and finalize it. Come the next date, when you want to postpone it, then it's obviously thrown to that other time, taking into consideration the other cases that are already on the roll.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand that. I think
So this time I put my foot down, I said to the state, we must get 3 weeks in advance, even if it is not continuous, but at least it will solve the problem that if we sit in 1 week, then we'll have to postpone it to another date.
yeah.
Yes.
No, I understand, and I have sympathy with you, but all I'm saying is you are in control of the matter. I'm sorry, CJ, I'm prolonging this. You are in control of the matter. You reach a point before it goes further to say, I'm now leaving this division, I'm going to another division. State prosecutor and accused, represented or not, here is the period when we're going to finalize this matter. And then you make sure that your slate is clean in the Northwest. You now focus on Mpumalanga matters.
I fully agree with you, JP, but
Yes.
it hampers on our role again in Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Remember,
Thank you,
we are few judges in Mpumalanga. I
Yes.
have to take into consideration what is it, the role in Mpumalanga.
Yes.
If I remember well, there was a stage where it was coming in 2020, before the lockdown. But because I had a matter, JP, if you remember, there was a long outstanding civil matter in Middleburg that JP allocated me. And then I had to go and deal with that matter and then postpone this one. So I'm trying to say we are also trying to accommodate the role that I'm faced with in Mpumalanga, and that is one of the challenges that I face.
No, I understand that. All I'm saying is, as head of court, I've had situations like that, judges transferring from Gauteng to other divisions, but with outstanding work, and they would come and say, JP, please release me from normal allocations in your division. I want to go and finish this matter. That's what I'm suggesting to you, that perhaps this could have happened.
I understand, but
You disagree with me?
Not necessarily disagree. I understand and I agree, but I was faced with a situation where I was also taking care of the role in
Mpumalanga.
In Mpumalanga. Yes.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Sorry I took long.
Chief Justice, I think I need
Thank you,
to.
Judge Preston.
Chief Justice,
Yes, JP.
with your permission, I need to make a follow-up on this. And I can assure
Please
you,
do so.
I can assure you, Judge Judge Kgoele, if I was briefed on the extent of the difficulties that you are facing in this matter, I would have sent you back to Northwest until you finalize that matter. And this is the undertaking which I'm making. You need to case manage that matter with all the parties involved with the matter. Give you an estimation. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, so that you should go there, finalize that matter. I know the minister, in your absence, will give someone to act so that that matter can be finalized. Can we agree on that?
We agree, JP, although maybe you forget, remember in my.
Yes, but forget about the other
Okay,
things.
okay.
Let us just deal on that
Yes,
agreement.
yes,
Can you agree that in due course you'll come back to me, you'll case manage that matter?
And then
you'll
we
give me
finish
the-
it.
You'll give me the duration. From there, you can be sent back there and have that matter finalized.
I know if you said that you are going to do that, JP.
Yeah, but you
That-
need to come back to me with the dates.
I will.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Judge Kgoele, you're excused.
Thank you.